I want to talk to you today about finding light in darkness. In John chapter 8, verse 12, Jesus says, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." I was born in London to a Nigerian dad and a Jamaican mom. When I was 4, we moved to Nigeria, and this is where I lived till after university. I have 2 older sisters and 2 younger brothers, so I am the quintessential middle child. My older sisters were best friends and constantly chasing me out of their bedroom, and my brothers were like 2 peas in a pod. So the neighborhood kids became my best friends. I was always outside playing hide and seek or various other games. My mother was the neighborhood nurse, and she was well liked in the community. My dad was so generous and full of life that everybody knew us. In fact, I think I must have eaten in every house on the street. My mother was the first one in our family to give her heart to Jesus. And though I went to church with her occasionally, I wouldn't have called myself a Christian. Looking back now, I can see various moments where God brought His light into my life in the darkest of situations. When I was 8 years old, I woke up in the middle of the night and got out of bed. It was pitch black, but I could see a torchlight shining from the living room. I walked towards the light, and I could hear the hum of the freezer and wondered why my dad would be using his torch when there was electricity. I moved towards the light, hoping to get a hug from my dad, but something stopped me, and I went back to bed. When I woke up in the morning, I found out we had been robbed, and it occurred to me that that must not have been my father's torch. I don't know what would have happened to me if I went towards that light. But I can tell you that in Nigeria, when robbers operate at night, they are almost always armed. It's the first time that I considered that there was someone looking out for me, something bigger than me. Another moment was when I was 15. I had spent so much time playing outside that I hadn't bothered to become a cool teenager. By the time I looked around, everyone was either way cooler than I was or was really into their schoolwork. I just didn't fit into any groups. It was really strange. I came from a really loving family, and I was having so much fun in school and in our community, but it just wasn't enough. So I went to my bedroom and made a really long list about why I wasn't valid. I wasn't beautiful enough. I believed the lie that I wasn't intelligent enough, wasn't good at any sport. I remember that it was like letting the darkness in. Something changed in me that day, and I carried that darkness with me everywhere I went. Fast forward to university. I spent my time playing with friends and partying and trying to fit in. I was finally well liked and popular, and I wasn't planning for God at all. In fact, I was constantly making fun of the Christians in my room who always tried to get me into a church service. Then one Sunday morning, after a late night of partying, I overheard my roommates whispering and wondering whether they should bother to invite me to yet another church service. Just to shock them, I got out of bed and went for the church service. As soon as I walked into that church hall, my heart leaped for joy as I burst into an overwhelming flood of tears. I recognized the light of Jesus Christ. I hadn't even heard the preacher's message, but I knew that this was so outstandingly different to the darkness that had followed me since I was 15. That darkness was controlling and limiting. This light offered love, hope, and freedom. This was a good light, the light of Jesus Christ. I let go of the darkness that I had been carrying, and this was a huge weight off my shoulders. Many of my friends who saw the change in me decided that they too wanted the light of Jesus Christ. I went from a girl who simply followed the crowd to sharing my faith because the light of Jesus Christ compelled me. Of course, this doesn't mean that I no longer have any dark moments in my life. It's just that now the light of Jesus Christ shines bright enough to see me through it. 12 years ago, my dad sadly passed away from cancer. He was only 68 years old, and I thought he would recover from his illness. My dad had given his life to Jesus many years before, and he became an even better dad than he already was. He was the kind of dad that apologized when he was wrong. He was also the kind of dad that knelt down to pray every evening when he got back from work. So letting go of my dad was not easy. I'd visit him weekly and we'd watch telly together and discuss politics and sports. So when they moved him into the hospice, saying that he had very little time to live, that was a dark time. But Jesus was there, holding my dad's hand and holding mine. Jesus was not only the light at the end of the tunnel, he was the light in the tunnel, with us every step of the way. Maybe last year was so uncertain and painful that you are afraid and worried about what 2021 will bring. I want you to know that no matter how dark your road is, there is a light that shines bright enough to see you through it. A trustworthy light, and his name is Jesus Christ. He is able to remove the pain of the past, shine his light on your way, and bring you peace. Let's remember Jesus' words again. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. I pray that this year you would follow this good light, the light of the world, in Jesus' name.